Title: How the Peloponnesian War Set the Stage for Alexander the Great. Introduction. Introduced the Peloponnesian War as a transformative event in Greek history, which ended the golden age of Greece, weakened the major city-states, and destabilized the political landscape. State the thesis. The war's aftermath weakened the traditional Greek powers, creating a fragmented political environment that Philip II of Macedon and his son, Alexander the Great, would later exploit to unify Greece and create one of the most powerful empires of the ancient world. Section 1. The aftermath of the Peloponnesian War and the decline of Greek city-states. Economic and military weakness in Athens and Sparta. Discuss how the war devastated Athens and Sparta economically and militarily. Athens lost its navy, its empire, and much of its wealth. The physical destruction of Athens and the psychological toll of the war weakened its capacity for self-governance and defense. Explain how Sparta, though victorious, faced its own challenges, including an overstretched military, economic strain, and reliance on an oppressive Helot labor system. These internal weaknesses would later make it difficult for Sparta to maintain dominance over Greece or resist outside powers. Rise of political instability and fragmentation. The constant shifting of alliances during and after the war left the Greek city-states politically fragmented, with alliances quickly changing as each sought to recover its influence. This instability undermined any hope of lasting peace and made collective action against a common enemy nearly impossible. Highlight how these weakened city-states were increasingly open to influence and interference by outside forces, including Persia, which used its wealth to manipulate alliances in Greece. Section 2. The Corinthian War and Weakening of Greek Unity. The Corinthian War, 395 to 387 BC, and the Persian influence. After the Peloponnesian War, the Greek city-states, including Athens, Corinth, and Thebes, united briefly in the Corinthian War to challenge Sparta's hegemony. With Persian support, these states were able to counterbalance Spartan power. The King's Peace, 387 BC, brokered by Persia, ended the war, but it marked the beginning of Persian dominance in Greek affairs. Persia effectively dictated Greek policy, exploiting the weakened state of the city-states and reinforcing their divisions. The rise of Thebes and the Battle of Leuctra. Thebes emerged as a new power in the 370s BC, defeating Sparta at the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC. This battle shattered Sparta's military reputation and shifted power again within Greece, further highlighting the lack of a stable, dominant power. The rise of Thebes and its temporary dominance demonstrated the volatility of Greek politics. However, Thebes' influence was short-lived, as no single Greek state could maintain a lasting hegemony. This continued power vacuum left Greece vulnerable to a rising power from the north, Macedon. Section 3. Macedon's rise under Philip II and exploitation of Greek weakness. Philip II's military innovations and strategic diplomacy. Philip II of Macedon capitalized on the weakened and divided Greek city-states, employing military innovations such as the Macedonian phalanx, a more flexible and powerful formation than traditional hoplite warfare. Philip used both diplomacy and force to bring Greek city-states under Macedonian influence. Through marriage alliances, bribes, and strategic victories, Philip gradually extended his control, framing himself as a unifier rather than a conqueror of Greece. The Battle of Chaeronea, 338 BC, and Macedonian control over Greece. In 338 BC, Philip decisively defeated a coalition of Greek city-states, including Athens and Thebes, at the Battle of Chaeronea, securing Macedonian dominance over Greece. This battle demonstrated the military superiority of Macedon and ended any immediate resistance to Philip's rule. After Chaeronea, Philip established the League of Corinth, a federation of Greek states under his leadership, with the aim of creating a unified front against Persia. Although nominally a league, this was effectively a vehicle for Macedonian control, setting the stage for his son Alexander's campaigns. Section 4. Alexander the Great and the fulfillment of Macedonian ambitions. Alexander's inheritance of a unified Greece. Upon Philip's assassination in 336 BC, Alexander inherited a unified Greece with the infrastructure and military innovations that Philip had established. Philip's groundwork enabled Alexander to focus on external conquest without having to contend with internal Greek rivalries. Alexander immediately took up his father's plan to invade Persia, using the League of Corinth as a justification to unite Greek forces in a campaign of revenge against Persia, fulfilling a long-standing Greek desire to strike back after the Persian invasions of the previous century. Alexander's campaigns and legacy for Greece. Alexander's campaigns extended Greek influence across Asia, spreading Hellenistic culture and creating a new era of cultural fusion between Greek and Eastern traditions. Alexander's success can be seen as a fulfillment of a pan-Greek ambition, facilitated by the unification efforts of his father. Conclude by explaining how the Peloponnesian War indirectly set the stage for Alexander's empire. The war's aftermath weakened the traditional Greek powers and created a fractured landscape that Philip and Alexander could exploit. While the war itself may have been destructive, it led to an unprecedented era of Greek influence under Alexander, whose conquests reshaped the ancient world. Conclusion. Action 1. The aftermath of the Peloponnesian War and the decline of Greek city-states. Economic and military weakness in Athens and Sparta. The Peloponnesian War devastated both Athens and Sparta, leaving each weakened and exhausted. Athens, once a prosperous empire, lost its navy, colonies, and financial resources. The severe losses and economic decline led to internal political instability, with democratic institutions often in crisis. This instability limited Athens' ability to recover and defend itself against future threats, rendering it vulnerable to external pressures. Sparta, though victorious, found itself similarly weakened. Its manpower was stretched thin from maintaining control over Greek territories and suppressing revolts, particularly from the Helot population upon which its economy depended. The constant pressure of policing its territories prevented Sparta from establishing a stable empire or effectively unifying Greece. By the end of the conflict, both Athens and Sparta had depleted their resources, creating a power vacuum that Macedon would later exploit. Rise of political instability and fragmentation. The Peloponnesian War fragmented the Greek political landscape, with former allies and smaller city-states vying for power. The traditional power balance was gone, and without a dominant unifying force, Greek politics descended into constant warfare and shifting alliances. This instability led to frequent conflicts and weakened the Greek state's ability to act collectively, making it difficult to form a cohesive defense against external threats. Additionally, the Greek state's reliance on Persia for financial support during and after the war complicated Greek politics, as Persia began to manipulate Greek rivalries to maintain its own influence in the region. This external interference deepened Greek divisions and diminished any hope of lasting peace, setting the stage for Macedon's rise. Section 2. The Corinthian War and Weakening of Greek Unity. The Corinthian War, 395 to 387 BC, and the Persian influence. The Corinthian War exemplified the ongoing power struggles that followed the Peloponnesian War. Athens, Corinth, and Thebes formed an alliance to resist Sparta's dominance, sparking a conflict that further weakened the region. During the war, Persia supported the anti-Spartan alliance financially, hoping to prevent any single Greek power from becoming too strong. The King's Peace, 387 BC, which ended the Corinthian War, was brokered by Persia and essentially placed Greek city-states under Persian protection, allowing Persia to dictate the terms of peace. This peace confirmed that Persia held significant sway over Greek politics, manipulating the city-states for its own purposes. The political and economic exhaustion that followed this war further eroded Greek unity and solidified Persia's influence, leaving the Greek states unable to unite against outside powers. The rise of Thebes and the Battle of Leuctra. Thebes emerged as a powerful state in the early 370s BC, taking advantage of Sparta's weakened state. In 371 BC, Theban general Epaminondas defeated Sparta at the Battle of Leuctra, shattering Sparta's reputation as an invincible land power. The defeat at Leuctra diminished Spartan hegemony and allowed Thebes to become the dominant force in Greece temporarily. However, Thebes' influence was short-lived, and its failure to consolidate control over Greece left the region in continued disunity. No single city-state could maintain stable leadership or peace, and the recurring power struggles made Greece ripe for conquest. The pattern of shifting dominance, from Sparta to Thebes and briefly back to Athens, only deepened the power vacuum and set the stage for Macedonian intervention. Section 3. Macedon's rise under Philip II and exploitation of Greek weakness. Philip II's military innovations and strategic diplomacy. Philip II of Macedon came to power in 359 BC, recognizing the opportunity presented by